thanks for checking out my channel. Basically, this is a project I started back in February, and I had meant to record videos showing how I did each of the modification and repairs on this Stratocaster. Kind of got into the project and was over my head, so I'm gonna scrap all of that and redo some of that work on a different guitar and post that to my channel that way. But I didn't want to not give a final update on this guitar because it is as finished as I want it to get. I'm pretty happy with it at this point. Gonna break this video up into two parts. We'll cover a neck part first and then the body upgrade second. Neither video will be too long, but it's just a little bit easier content wise for me to get them done in two parts. Alright, so let's start going over the modifications and repairs I made on the neck. Okay, the first thing I did to the neck was focus on the frets. The fretboard did have a little bit of fret sprout, which is when the frets exceed the length of the fretboard on the top and bottom edges. You'll be able to tell that if there's some sharp frets just by rubbing your fingers over it. The second thing I did was took a string action ruler like this and rocked it in between every 3 sets of frets. And when you feel the rocking, that will tell you which frets are uneven. And basically I marked that with a Sharpie on the fret itself. And then I took a sandpaper sponge, or a sanding sponge, which is kind of like a sanding block, but it's made out of a spongy material. I like it because it kind of wraps around the frets and doesn't plane them off so much. But anyways, I took that sponge and filed down each of the frets ever so slightly, and then focused on the frets that I found to be uneven, and then remeasured and resanded until I didn't get any more rocking. And then I took a crowning tool and crowned each of the frets so that it had a circular shape instead of a leveled off flat edge to it. So that's basically what I did with the frets. Okay, so the next step I did was to stain and lacquer the fretboard. This didn't turn out as expected, but basically what I did was I sanded down the neck, and as you can see in some areas I sanded a little deeper. Like this had the decal that said Squier series. I just sanded it off because I used that as my testing base, and it kind of got messed up, so I just sanded it off. I didn't really care if it was there or not. And then you can see I didn't sand on this as much because I didn't want to sand off the serial number or the logo. So it took the stain a little bit differently. And then another example is here. I got a little bit deeper with the sanding here and here, and so it's completely uneven, and I was initially pretty unhappy with my work. I think it's fine now. It kind of looks relic and DIY and bad, but I'm happy with the experience I received from it and happy with the end result, so it's fine. So the next thing I did was I took this guitar lacquer, light brown. I think I was feeling kind of cheap on the day that I bought this because this was on clearance, and I was like, yeah, I want a light brown neck like a roasted maple, and it actually ended up much darker. You can see some spots on the can, so imagine a bit darker than that, and it kind of sprayed on gloppy and uneven, so it was pretty bad. After that dried and I figured out I was unhappy with the light brown guitar lacquer, I took my wife's fingernail polish remover and was able to successfully remove this darker colored lacquer, and it kind of did leave a stained color on the neck. This neck was a little bit lighter before I started, but here, I'll show you the back too so you can see how that turned out. We can kind of see the staining of that darker brown lacquer, how that turned out. So after I removed this dark light brown with fingernail polish remover, I proceeded with the clear satin because I wanted a satiny smooth neck and not like a glossy lacquer neck. So I sprayed one layer of that on, and then I took a scouring pad like you use to wash dishes or something and rubbed out, or kind of sanded out, the clear satin stain. I did that several times, repeating 6 or 7 times. Basically spray it on and then rub it until it was completely smooth and felt great. And this is the end product, and to me it feels really great. I'm not a guitarist, but my bandmate said it feels great too, so I definitely recommend this clear satin if you want a satin guitar neck. I don't recommend this clearance light brown for staining your neck. It probably looks great as a light brown on a guitar, but also I couldn't get it to spray evenly, and that's probably because I'm not a good spray painter, but it's neither here nor there. Okay, so the next thing, once those features of the neck were finished, I replaced the tuning keys. I went with some pretty inexpensive tuning keys. I'll show you the back of them. They're kind of Kluson style keys, and I got them from Dragonfire Guitars. I think that guy imports tuning keys and guitar parts and pickguards and stuff from China and rebrands them as Dragonfire. But this is actually a great upgrade. So for $18 I got these tuners, and they work so much better than the diamond style tuning keys that these guitars and Infinities and some other Fenders and inexpensive guitars come with. It makes a world of difference. It's probably, if you have that diamond style tuning key, this is what I would recommend you do first. You can see here well, if I can focus it, that is basically the one screw hole that is still visible. Okay, so those are the tuners. And again, I'm pretty happy with these. This is my favorite new thing on this guitar. Moving on to the string tree. So this Fender guitar originally had one string tree. These American style string trees come in packs of 2. So I think eventually I will install the second one on the D and G string. But for now I just have this one, and I like it. It does require you to drill an anchor hole, because not only is there a screw, but there's an anchor on the string tree. I'm not sure if it makes the guitar sound any better, or I guess it makes it stay in tune, but compared to the original one, I'm not sure that I can tell a difference, but I still like the look of it. Okay, and the final thing that I did was update this nut. Now, I have to admit that this was the first nut I'd ever updated or replaced. and I did a horrible job. I think I ordered the wrong nut. It was correct in width, but it was a little in width this way, but it was a little too thick. And so then what I did was a huge no-no. I started filing down the trench for the nut, and really I should have been filing the nut. These graphite nuts are super easy to file down, but anyways, my first attempt at this, I ended up with a really high nut, and it was terrible action, completely terrible. I went back and I made it better, but it's still not the best, and it's probably the part I'm least happy about my performance, even with the bad sanding job on the neck and all that stuff. This part I still think is the worst thing I did on here. But anyways, for amateur trying to learn how to do some of this stuff, I had a great time, and I will follow up this neck video with the body video because I did a bunch of work over here too, but I want to break it up into 2 separate parts. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe, and thanks. Bye-bye.